On episode 216 of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we discuss how to become a certified personal trainer. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/216. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. We're getting to that time of the year when the resolutionists start to really tail off and go away. You know, they came in with all the good grand plans of getting healthy, losing weight, and getting fit. Worked out for a little while, did a few things, and then sort of just fell off. And I hope that isn't you. But if you did have a weight loss resolution and you just didn't quite make it, I do want you to check out Surefire Results for Weight Loss. It's a program I developed, very simple, 3 lifestyle changes. You make those 3 lifestyle changes, and they're very simple lifestyle changes to make. In fact, most of my clients that have gone through it have been amazed with what they've been able to do with just these simple little changes. And you'll have me along with you each and every day to keep you on course, keep you going. It's a 28-day program. $1 a day is worth it. Make the investment in your health. Lose the weight. Guaranteed. You can find it at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/surefire. That's 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/surefire. The cool thing about the show today is I'm going to get to talk about my daughter and myself because we're both certified personal trainers. The difference is, though, we took very, very different paths, and I want you to know, and that's part of what the gist of this whole thing is, there are multiple paths to becoming a personal trainer, and not all personal trainers are created equal. The path I took, which was fairly simple, I was wanting to learn things to get myself healthy, and looking at what I didn't have was, with the traveling schedule that I had. I mean, I traveled, at the time I was traveling nearly 90% of the time. And with that travel schedule, it was nearly impossible for me to sign on with a personal trainer. There really weren't a lot of online personal trainers like I'm trying to do today, which is part of the reason I want to get in the profession, is just recognizing that I really didn't have anybody to help me. I wasn't in a position to make it to the gym all the time, so I really just did need something. And so I thought, well, I'll just become my own personal trainer. I'll learn what my personal trainer would know, and then I can apply it in my own life. So I went ahead and signed on with a group called NASM. It's the National Academy of Sports Medicine. And there were a couple different ones to choose. There was ACE and there was NSAM, were 2 of the big ones that I was looking at, because some of them actually require you to have a degree. And I'll get into that later when I'm talking about my daughter's story. So I went ahead, I chose NASM because it was a comprehensive program. It had a college-level textbook for their instruction method. And then they also had a kind of a full video series and a whole bunch of reading. And so to me, it was a great opportunity to get myself fully educated, kind of almost feel like that go back to college and take a class kind of mentality. But all the classes were obviously given online and at my own convenience and at my own pace. They gave me basically 180 days, 6 months basically, for me to go through the materials and then go sit for a test. Now, the test was actually at a proctored location. It was an online test, but it was at a location. I had to go to the testing center and sit down and take it. And I can tell you, it was not an easy test. In fact, a lot of people don't pass it the first time they take that test. It is comprehensive. It does cover just about everything in the book. And their programming for that certified personal trainer at NSAM is very comprehensive. And then they add on some specialties. So as you know, I have another specialty. I went on to corrective exercise because in recognizing what I was learning as I went through the course, I realized, well, I have some very bad movement patterns that I could work on. So I'll do this corrective exercise. And then realizing one of my main drivers was to lose some of the body fat. I did take the fitness nutrition course specialty. So, as I kind of went through this, and each of those in their own right was really almost like another college course. So, together, those specialties, along with my certified personal trainer certificate, they were a pretty comprehensive program. I feel really compelled, and I feel like I know enough to help people. And in fact, I was able to help myself, which is kind of the evidence and the proof. Now, over the course of the last year, I know that I've helped quite a few people obtain their goals and get better and healthier and more fit. So that's the path I took, was basically the path of going as someone who didn't have a fitness or nutrition background, of going in and doing it myself, just taking the interactive course, going online and doing it with my certified, with my corrective exercise. I did it online, but later went to one of their workshops because I enjoyed that portion of it so much. So they have a whole series of those things, the ways to put you through that would fit the way that you need to go through that course. Now, my daughter's story is a little different. She was in college, and like most college kids, bounced around across a couple different majors. And we were having a conversation one day. She was in CrossFit. She was really enjoying that. I'd sent her on because she was so interested in it. I told her, well, if I'm going to pay, it was $200 a month for you to go to this thing, I want you to get something out of it. So why don't you go ahead and get certified? And she did. She went and got her L1, which is basically the level 1, which is the base level for CrossFit instructors. And she started teaching, and she enjoyed it so much. And she was like saying, well, I want to change my major to something else. And I can't remember what it was, but I said, well, why? The only thing we ever talk about, the only thing you're ever really excited about is this CrossFit thing, is the fitness thing. I said, why don't you just major in that? And she said, oh, I can do that? And I'm like, well, of course. And so she looked into it, and sure enough, they had a kinesiology course load that she could go through and get that degree. And that's exactly what she did. And upon getting out, while she was in, she worked on a couple other things. So she picked up a couple certs and specialties along the way. And now she's working for her certified strength conditioning coach. That's a slightly harder exam than an NASM, and it is something that really pulls on being a little bit more in the gym, working with athletes and that type of thing, which obviously as a CrossFit coach is something that she's doing more of. Most of the folks that are at CrossFit level, or a lot of them that are in that CrossFit style stuff, kind of fall in the lines of more of an athlete style. They treat themselves like athletes. They act like athletes for the most part. Of course, anyone can do CrossFit, but you'll see a smattering of folks that are really serious about it and really view it as an athletic endeavor, and they want to compete at that. So that was a good fit for her going through the school. So if you're not someone who's young that's ready to, or you're just not ready to go back and go to college for a 4-year degree in kinesiology, which is basically exercise science, then that one's not for you, because you won't be able to take it unless you have the degree. So that's why I can't go off and be a certified strength and conditioning coach, because I just don't have the degree to do it. That is why I went with the NASM. Is one better than the other? And I would say it really comes down to the individual. How hard does a person work to be the best coach they can be for you? I did a little thing about coaches or trainers early on in the podcast. I may try to pull that up and make that available to you in the show notes. Again, this is episode 216. So if you go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/216, you'll see a little PDF thing that I did that kind of talks about what to look for in a personal trainer. And that might help you a little bit in understanding how I think we should approach this profession as we go into it. And one of the core tenets is this: a good trainer goal is to not be your trainer for life, but to teach you everything they know so that you can move on to something bigger and better. So they should be seeking to help you outgrow them. And, there were, when you think about like Michael Jordan, when he started, he actually got cut in basketball when he was in high school, but he worked with high school coaches for a while, and then he started working with college coaches, and then he started working with pro coaches, and then he started working with business coaches. So all through Michael Jordan's career, in the different endeavors he wanted to do, and I guess there was also some baseball coaches in there as he started getting into the pro baseball. So all through these professional careers, and you could talk to anyone who's working and doing anything at a very high level, most of them will tell you at different points in their life, if not throughout their life, they've relied on coaches. But they couldn't rely on the same coach all the way through. Each coach was teaching them what they could. They surpassed that coach, and then they were ready for something bigger and better. And that's how your coach should look at it. No coach should say, I am the omega and the alpha. I am everything. Every coach should be looking to push you forward to your maximum potential and your goals, which leads me to my second point. If you're going to be a personal trainer, it's not about what you want, it's what your client wants. So if your client comes in and says, I want weight loss, and you're thinking, well, we're going to put muscle on you, those don't connect. If your thought is they need to have muscle mass and they're thinking they need to lose weight, you've got to fix that. And you got to fix that in a way where you're giving them what they want And then you're working with them over time, get them to a framework of mindset where they're ready to accept that muscle mass is important and they're ready to move to that. You cannot go in and say, I'm going to train you to lift weights when their core endeavor is weight loss, unless you can bridge the gap in the communication of why lifting weights is going to be in their best interest. Their mind's not there today. If you can get them there today, that's great. But in most cases, you're going to have to work with a client and you're going to have to ease them along through this progression. And then I think the other side of the final side of this I'll talk about right now. Again, you can get the PDF and there'll be more on this. It's going to be 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/216, be in the show notes there. But the core of this is that if you just have to get along, the personal training is very much a personal endeavor. Even if I'm doing this on the computer with you and working with you online or over the phone or over Skype or whatever medium we're doing, even if I'm there with you, we are working together. And you have to get along. You have to kind of like each other because you're going to spend time together. You're going to be communicating together. If you don't communicate well together, if you don't get along, then this isn't for you. So I'm actually an introvert. I'm not an extrovert. So if I go into a room with a bunch of people, I'm not necessarily going to sit there and be the one that strikes up the first conversation, but I'll stay with it. And eventually I'll be in a conversation, getting along with people and going. You have to be that kind of person. You have to be the person that's personable enough to listen and then be a part of the conversation. You can't just watch and you can't just count reps. That's not what personal training is about. Personal training is really about personal development. It's about making the person that you're working with a better person because they're looking inward and they're finding inner strength and they're pushing themselves and they know and they see the improvement in themselves. They're being a better them tomorrow. And that's what this is all about. This is about getting them the personal improvement that they need and they want in their lives on their terms because you work for them, they are the client. So I hope that this helped. Again, there are different paths to certification. Not all personal trainers are certified, and not all certifications are equal. There's a lot of them out there that you can just go for a weekend, take a course for a weekend, and then they say you're done. And some of them don't even require tests, So it's. I'm not going to say it's like a diploma mill thing, but there are a few that are better. I like ACE and I like NASM. There are a couple others that are pretty good. And then, of course, if you want to go to school and get the degree and do the whole bit and take the strength and conditioning coach deal, that's going to be top notch. That's going to be the one that really put the time in and the effort in. If you're looking at CrossFit or some of these others, they're going to have gone to different levels of the schools. You can do a little bit of research on Google to understand what those are, what each of those certifications mean, if you're interested in them. But the core ones that most people are going to recognize are the ones I just talked about, those three. Those are the core three that most of us center around and that most people will say, okay, I get it. The person, if they pass that test for the NASM or the ACE, they're in pretty good shape. I can trust that they at least know the basics. Now, the real question is, are they the right fit for me? As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this whole thing came about from a listener question. And I want to encourage you, if you have any questions about this topic or any other topic in health and fitness, you're more than welcome to ask. There are two ways that you can basically do that. You can join our Facebook group at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/group. Ask the question there. I'll be glad to answer it. In many cases, I may even take that on and make it a podcast episode. Or you can email me directly at main@forever.fitness, main@forever.fitness. And either way you want to contact me, feel free to send me an email. I'll be glad to answer your questions and help you in any way that I can. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, I share 11 fitness objections. Are you not quite getting out there because you have an objection? I might have found an answer to your objection. So please tune in next time. Until then, let's have a happy and healthy day.